1893, Chicago hosts a World's Fair, while America's first and worst serial killer terrorizes our town. Ready for a trip inside H.H. Holmes' House of Horrors? The Monster of 63rd Street, tomorrow at 10.
A new film and a new book are shedding light on one of our darkest stories. Chicago can apparently lay claim to the title of home of America's first serial killer. Vince Drasoli is here with a rather frightening edition of tonight's Inside Chicago, and a fascinating story.
That's right, some spooky stuff to talk about, like CSI from a couple centuries ago. First, let's travel back in time to 1893, perhaps the most significant year in Chicago tourism history. An estimated 20 million people came to the city's south side to visit a World's Fair that was every inch a spectacle. But a sinister force was lurking in the shadows, a hotel operator killing and dismembering many of his guests. The dark details are resurfacing as a local filmmaker and a national bestseller explore the monster of 63rd Street.
Torture chambers, secret passageways, vats of acid, and deadly vaults. In 1895, Chicago police unearthed horrific evidence of torture and multiple murders at the sprawling castle of H.H. Holmes.
I initially read about the H.H. Holmes story in a Chicago crime book where they mentioned the castle.
The castle that captivated filmmaker John Borowski was a hotel located at 63rd and Wallace Streets. Druggist Herman Mudgett, alias Dr. H.H. Holmes, constructed it to cash in on the tourist trade coming to Chicago's World's Fair. It may have looked like an ordinary hotel on the outside,
but it was the second floor that contained 35 rooms, many specifically designed as killing chambers. The basement held the most terrifying rooms, resembling a medieval torture dungeon.
Really not your typical Four Seasons.
Eric Larson, author of The Devil in the White City, was equally captivated by the story of the murderous Dr. Holmes.
He's a psychopath. He has no moral core. He can get by with that stuff because he feels nothing.
Larson was conducting research on the fair and stumbled across news accounts of a mass murderer and decided to combine the two stories.
And I realized, wow, here's this World's Fair, the White City, this beautiful thing. And at the same time, in the same place, this awful serial killer. And that was the story.
No one is certain just how many Holmes actually killed, but human remains found in the hotel's basement and the number of missing visitors point to the likelihood that there were dozens of victims.
People say he could have killed hundreds, and being the ambitious young man that he was, maybe isn't far from the truth.
Today, little is left of the fair that put Chicago on the world stage, except for the Museum of Science and Industry, known then as the Palace of Fine Arts. And the site of the castle is a post office now. As for the monster of 63rd Street, he was tried and hanged for murder.
The film rights to The Devil in the White City have been purchased in Hollywood, and the name Tom Cruise is associated with the project. If you want to see John Borowski's film in the meantime, you can just log on to our website at cbs2chicago.com for more information.
How did they finally catch Holmes, Vince?
Well, in addition to being a psychopath, Holmes was also a con man. And as investigators were investigating an insurance scam that sort of led them to the bodies that eventually led them to the hotel where he was conducting all of these just horrendous crimes.
Incredible story. Thank you.